Hello there, and welcome to Sweet Child of Time. I'm your host, Steve Barnes, and we are here. James waved at me again. Hi, James. We are here recapping episode 1 of Time Bandits. We're finally getting into the thick of things here. Couldn't be more excited to have my co-host with me along for this ride, even though he was not a fan of the movie. He's perfect fodder for the show. He's the guy, Marshland Monster. Ahoy there, James.
The original Sweet Child is back, baby.
Yes, you are. Hell yeah, the Sweet Child. Do you want to be the Sweet Time Bandit? That doesn't make sense, does it?
The
That doesn't
Sweet
sound good.
Child of Time Bandit.
Okay, there we go. We got a new podcast name. We're like at a brand new audience here, James. We got to behave ourselves and reintroduce ourselves to everybody.
Hello.
We know that you're James and you're the Marshland Monster. And what does that exactly mean?
I'm a rapper. Muskegon, the place I'm from, that means marshland, literally. So I was like, Marshland Monster, that's a pretty cool name. I didn't know marshland was one word, but for search engine optimization now down the line, it's better that if you in quotes it, you're going to find me. I'm on podcasts. Listen to them. If you're trying to find a starting out point, Steve Barnes has been on pretty much every one.
That's right. He helped me launch my first podcast, which is this one, Sweet Child of Time, which we talked about the movie Time Bandits, which I'm an unabashed fan of the movie. I've always have been. I got my Time Bandit skateboard behind me. I mean, since I was 9 years old, this has been like the movie that's kind of been the movie that I compare other movies to. And I showed this to my friend James here, the Marshland Monster. What did you think of Time Bandits, the movie?
I'm an unabashed, apathetic viewer of it. It's not good. It's boring. It's beautiful to look at times, especially at that end. And whenever Shelley Duvall, am I saying that right?
You are, yes.
Why did that sound like it came out wrong? R.I.P. to damn Queen, you know?
That's right. I think you said it right. I think Shelley Duvall. And yeah, you were kind of apathetic. You didn't hate it, but it was just kind of like, I saw it. I don't need to see it again.
Yeah, I'm like, when does this end?
Well, it began again. So that's the first thing I'm going to ask you, James, is your first impression of the television show we just watched.
Now, that's how you do a title sequence. Now, if you've listened to our Wheel of Time episodes, famously have not seen those title sequences once.
You like it because it's 15 seconds long. Is that why you like it?
I think it's even less than that. But on Wheel of Time, I just skipped the first time because I think I was in a rush to watch it. And I'm like, wow, this is like an hour and 20 minutes long. I don't have that time. Skip. And now, it's neat and cool. It's very kaleidoscopy. It looks probably like the dudes that did the Chunky, aka Chucky TV series. It looks like something they would have done because it has those same vibes to it.
What's your first impression of the show? How are you liking it?
Oh, yeah, I said the title sequence was good. I'm loving it. It's really good. Like whoever plays Widgit rules. That's already my favorite character.
Okay, picking out our favorite Time Bandits. I got to say, I mean, I know that there was some controversy surrounding them, but I love Charlene Yee's character.
Oh, yeah.
Cracks me up. I love everything they're doing. It's great.
I don't think I've ever seen them in something that I'm not like, yeah, man, they knocked it out of the park.
I don't know, knocked up. They were great in that, I thought.
No, I'm saying like I've never seen anything that there's too many double negatives. Let's take out all the knots in here. They're always good. That's what I was trying to say.
Okay. Right on. But yeah, those are our favorite Time Bandits. What's your favorite Time Bandit? Chime in at sweetshotofTime.com. That's our website. We actually have one. I was supposed to say that up front too, James. When I gave you all that plug-in opportunity, you were supposed to say, how about you, Steve? But we're beyond that now.
I don't know. Why would I think to say like, hey, what's your website? I didn't know you had one.
You didn't know? You haven't seen sweetshotofTime.com? Oh my God. Go check it. Maybe do it right now. It is a banger, y'all. I can tell y'all. There's videos on there. Every podcast I've done, every guest appearance I've done on any other podcast. James is featured predominantly. I say all kinds of nice things about James. Yeah, go check it out. Bios of every one of our co-hosts, including Corwin. Even put him in there. I mean, dude, it's in dark mode. It's all like black with white letters, and it's all sleek.
Hell yeah.
I mean, I can't keep going on about this. I want to go on about Time Bandits. I loved it too, James. I loved it more than I thought I was going to. And I said my favorite Time Bandit on the show, Judy. So Judy, I don't even know their name, but they're my favorite Time Bandit. But Kevin really stole the show for me. I think he really sells his character. He does a good job with delivery of every emotion, and he's animated in just the right way. He's the lead of the show, and I mean, it's great. I'm glad to see him doing this, and I know we're going to see some more stuff in the future. His name is Kal-El. Did you know that?
Yeah,
he's named after Superman.
You've told me this, and I saw it in the credits.
There's some things I talk about, like Kal-El, and other things like the website that I'm proud of that I don't talk about. So that's how I go.
He's also really good at like a panicked, quick scream, like a oh, like I can't even do it as good as him, but he's great at it.
Yeah, it's all like in the eyes too. Like it seems like he wears his emotions in his eyes, and he just has a real shine to him. I mean, he's great.
I got shark doll eyes, so no emotion there.
But yeah, I want to do what we came here to do, James. I want to recap this episode, go through it scene by scene, see if we have anything fun notes. I know I will, because I've been talking to these cast members, so I have some interesting nuggets of information along the way that's be fun to go into. So we start out, we're looking around Kevin's room. We're seeing all the stuff in Kevin's room. We see some Mayans, we see some Roman figures, Stonehenge, ancient Chinese figures, and one of them's missing its head. We see Egyptians, a flying dragon, or I'm thinking it could be a pterodactyl. Then we see the Mayan pyramids. So obviously this guy's a history buff, and he's got all these things in his room. And I'm pretty positive we're going to be visiting all these places in future episodes. That's pretty much how it works in Kevin's room.
And he's into the Snyderverse.
How do you figure that? What is the Snyderverse, first off?
Zack Snyder, the director. It looked like he had a figure from 300.
Okay, maybe he did. I don't know. I thought the figures that he had, that with the one that had the head missing, looked like the Wheel of Time figures, like the Forsaken. Like, remember when Lan was playing with those and was setting them up in his room at one point before he went to bed? I don't know. We talked about it on the podcast, James. Don't you remember?
I don't think we did, guys.
Go back to episode 26. It's there.
Oh my God, I just did. Yeah, it's there.
I told you. So Kevin wakes up. It's 7 o'clock. It's his 11th birthday. He's super psyched. He wants to go to Stonehenge for his birthday because he's a super nerd. I think that what I hope is that little kids will watch this show. And you know how little kids watch a show and they watch it over and over and over again. So I think this is a good show for that, because they're going to learn, they're going to just by default learn a bunch of history knowledge. Mm-hmm. It'll be good for any kid watching this show.
No, yeah, that's what this show should be doing. It's perfect for that. We did miss his parents, like in the movie, just straight up do not give a shit about their children.
Yeah.
But he's so excited. He wakes up. He's awake before his alarm goes off. It's 7 a.m., which I was like, why is he waiting to get up? But it's his birthday. And his parents said, do not wake us up before 7 a.m. Like it's Christmas. But this is clearly the only day he can do family stuff that he wants to do.
Right.
And the first thing they say is, what boring pile of rocks are you dragging us to this year? And he's like, it's not rocks, it's wood.
I really enjoy his parents and just kind of how nihilistic they are and just into themselves. They're like the parents from the movie, of course, except for like scaled back and maybe a little bit kinder than the movie Time Bandit parents, I believe. Am I right about that?
100%. I would just say like they are more welcoming in their sense of humor. Like I think they're not just mean. They have punchlines to them, but Nicole would love this show if he never went through time. It's just him having to deal with all the people around him, because boy, oh boy, is that Nicole's favorite kind of sitcom.
Okay. I was going to ask you, did Nicole watch with you by any chance?
She was at work.
Bummer. Yeah. Heather started watching with me, and she got up after about halfway through and was just not interested in it. So that really bummed me out too.
Oh no. I mean, it is kind of a show for children.
Well, I asked my child to watch it, Charlotte. She promised me that she would and give me her opinion. She promised me she would do that before 8:00, and here it is 8:30, and she hasn't done that yet.
Whoa.
So hopefully a text will be coming in anytime now where she's watched it over at her boyfriend's house and lets us know what she thinks of it.
I would, instead of Time Bandits, you should say, hey, you should check out Davy and Jonesy's Locker. That show on Hulu, I think, like, that's for teens. Okay. I think she would love that.
I've never heard of that one before. It's on tape. I'll remember this and let her know.
It rules. It's good.
All right. I know that, of course I asked Rune if he was going to do anything special for it, and he was just going to watch it with his wife and his adult son. But then Brandon, who I talked to this morning, he did the whole deal where like he had not only his family, he has 3 small children that were like really into the show as well, that were like really proud of their dad being the stunt man. He invited the entire stunt crew to come like watch it with his family. And so they all the whole stunt crew got together and watched the first episode the moment it dropped. I thought that was adorable.
I just realized maybe because this is a show aimed more towards like a general audience, maybe we don't curse.
Yeah, I was going to say that when you said the S word earlier. I was going to remind you, like, hey, we probably shouldn't curse on this one.
Okay, I'll bleep it out if I remember.
They cursed on the show, though. That's the thing about it. They said 2 curse words on the actual show, so we're okay to say damn and ass. Apparently.
Okay, awesome.
Because they said that on the show.
So we're playing this network TV style.
That's right. That's right.
We can say damn, but we can't say the G word in front of damn.
No
that
way.
Gets bleeped.
We could say supreme being damn if we'd like. That would be very Time Bandits specific.
Okay. Evil be damned.
Yeah. Evil's kind of cool in this show. I like him, but we haven't gotten there yet. We got Kevin's family, of course. We're going to go into them. We got James Dryden. He's a Marvel guy. He's in the Marvel-verse. He's dad. We got Felicity Ward. She's a comedian as mom. Kiera Thompson is sister Saffron. Now, this is not a spoiler because I don't know this for sure, and I can't confirm this by any means whatsoever. But in the original promo shot of the show, and when you go on Apple, it's like the main screen like thumbnail you see for Time Bandits. There's Saffron, his sister, and she's dressed up in some kind of weird garb. So I think that she's going to join the Time Bandits. That's what it looks like according to that picture.
Or she's Shelley Duvall-ing it, and she will be in it, like, because Shelley Duvall, wasn't she in multiple time periods?
Yeah, I think we're going to have a different person for this show, though. But
okay.
That's a good point. I don't know. I honestly don't know. There's some things I do know, and I'm being cheeky about. But this one I actually do not know, but I do know that she's definitely there in the picture. That's a fact. Everybody's seen it. So yeah, we were talking about how they went to their 11-year-old birthday. What would be your perfect 11-year-old birthday if you got to pull a Kevin and like make your family do whatever you wanted to do when you were 11? Not like looking back, but like when you were 11, what would it have been?
I think it was probably my 11th birthday was the perfect 11th birthday. Oh. We went to Zap Zone, which was a laser tag arcade in Grand Rapids. And I think that was the year I got, maybe it was a couple years earlier, but I'm pretty sure it was when I got the Final Fantasy VIII strategy guide. And that just like blew my mind. I was so hyped on that.
That's funny because, yeah, me and Caleb, we have a big age difference between us, at least 20 years. And I remember the Final Fantasy VIII strategy guide. Me and Caleb poured over that thing. So heck yeah.
I still have it.
I do not. My 11th birthday, I think, I don't know what I did, but I think if I was given the choice to do anything, it would probably not be to take my parents somewhere. It would probably be for my parents to drop me off at like an amusement park, like locally King's Dominion or Busch Gardens, and have them drop off me and like maybe 2 or 3 other friends. That would be my ideal thing. But Kevin doesn't have any friends, though. That's the bad thing about it. He's got to drag his parents around. So yeah, let's go into that. Lonely Kevin. They did a really good job of portraying Kevin as lonely with the sad music. And it seems like he's happy with himself. It seems like he's a pretty secure individual, but you can absolutely sense the loneliness in the guy playing board games by himself. I mean, come on.
Finding someone, even as an adult, to play Risk with you is hard enough. Trying to as a kid was so hard for my brother and I. And it's not a fun 2-player game until like you've taken out at least 2 other people. But when my brother was in a rehab thing, I'm pretty sure I've talked about it before.
On other podcasts.
Long story short, the other teens who are in that rehab center would stay at the parents' houses of other kids who were there.
Okay.
So we would host. And when my brother started coming, we started playing Risk. And there was one, we would always host on the weekends when it was Thanksgiving weekend. So it was like a 5-day weekend. We played so much Risk that because it's like a long game and these kids needed something to just pass the time because they're like, what else is life right now? That I'm like, I never want to play Risk ever again.
I never enjoyed it in the first place. Like I tried it out. My friends loved it and I was just not into it. I hated it. I didn't hate it. I just didn't get into it.
Maybe it's because you roll 3 6-sided die. So I'm like, 666, baby.
I mean, that's always appealing. Always appealing to us. We love evil. We love Jermaine. We love evil. We're on the evil side. We're sorry. That's just where we fall. Let's see. Where are we? Board games alone. Yeah, his sister and his parents seem, we already talked about how aloof they seem. And his sister kind of reminds me of a Visco girl. Are you familiar with what an American Visco girl is?
That's a social media thing, right?
Correct. Yeah, it's like a website / catalog where they sell cool stuff to cool girls. And it seems like, yeah, she's definitely falls in that category. Like too cool for Kevin, even though she's younger.
Oh, man, I hear they sell a lot of Time Bandits skateboard decks on that website. Because that's what cool girls like.
That thing is in mint condition. I could sell it for so much, but I want it right where it is. I got it from Bernie. I don't know if you knew that. You don't know Bernie. I'm sorry. I'm just going to.
Yeah, I got it from my friend. You know. Oh, yeah, you don't. You've
maybe
never been
one or
to
two
Virginia.
Listeners know Bernie. I don't know.
Does Virginia or West Virginia have the state capital that has like gold leaf on it?
That's West Virginia.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I've never been to Virginia to my knowledge, just West Virginia.
Our capital looks like the White House. It's like a little miniature White House. It's really cute. Yeah, it's cute.
Because it used to be the White House?
Richmond was aiming to be the capital of the Confederacy, buddy. That never worked out for us.
Oh, yeah. I thought Washington was like, hey, I want it in Virginia.
It changed hands a lot.
Okay.
Not Pennsylvania. What's the capital of Pennsylvania that everybody loves so much? Philadelphia or something? Yeah. Philadelphia, Alexandria, Virginia. There was a lot of contenders there.
Let's switch it up again.
Why not? West Coast. There's good weather out there.
Center of the country.
Omaha,
Nebraska. New capital.
Charlotte and I have traveled to Nebraska a few times, and they need something happening. There's nothing there except for a few hipster coffee shops. That's it. They need a capital.
And Saddle Creek Records. Don't forget about that.
Okay. Oh, and the skate rinks that we go to. Of course, the skate rinks and the hotels we stayed at. There's a lot of things there, actually. I think there's people. Anyway, so Kevin's in his room, and he first finds a lone Viking in his room. He walks through his closet to disappear. Kevin finds himself on the beach getting real arrows shot at him. I kind of like the way the arrows came kind of hot and heavy and like real close to him. Like it's like a risk of death is here. That's always cool.
And as he emerged from that, he goes, what the actual flippin' heck? And that's how you know this is a true nerd.
Yes, because even to himself, when his parents aren't around, he still can't say the correct curse words. So yeah, like we were saying about his parents, he's calling out to his parents, like, there's a dude in here. His parents don't really seem to care. And we're not going to go on. The jokes are great. I've watched this show 3 times and I didn't even catch all the jokes that flew past us. They were coming hot, and Kevin's dad is hilarious. But at any rate,
at the end, their motto was just like, hey, give up. Like they're telling their kid that. And there's a fantastic Romance, Chip Pope. He has a song that's just called Give Up, and he's singing like, hey, just give up. And it's a song about giving up, and it's very funny.
And Mr. and Mrs. Haddock would love that song. It's probably their favorite song. And we didn't say that. This episode is called Kevin Haddock. Their last name is Haddock, which of course means fish. So his name in all essence is Kevin Fish. Wonderful name. And I did write that down too. Sometimes give up, but you did it for me. Thank you. So we find out that Kevin's room is like the first stop in the time continuum, because what is happening here is the Time Bandits come into his room, and this is their first stop. They had just finished stealing the map and running away. So it's not as if they had been on a bunch of adventures previously, because they talk about some stuff, but this is their first stop into Kevin's room. And so, of course, they're bumbling time bandits, of course.
So if you're from Chicago, guys, this is like Kedzie, okay? You start at Kimball, and then the first stop's Kedzie. And then it's like, I don't know, but then it's Rockwell, Western, Damon, Montrose, Irving Park, Addison.
Oh my God. All the Chicago heads are going crazy right now.
Southport, Belmont. Hey, hop out on Belmont, head over to Chicago Comics, go pick up a comic book, say hello to me on the weekends.
Oh man, do I got to drop some Richmond references now? We don't have any cool like transit stuff like you guys have. We just have buses. That's all we got in Richmond.
Okay, what's when you hop on what? I don't know. Like I rarely go to the end of the line.
Yeah, I would hop on here at Azalea and Wilkinson. And probably my first stop would be up at VUU, Virginia Union University. Next stop, VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University. Then if you go a little further, you're going to be at U of R, University of Richmond. It stops at all the colleges for some reason. That's where all the cool stuff is around the colleges, is how it goes. A lot of cool
so
stuff.
Those are the only stops?
Well, let's see. If we were going to be really specific, it's going to stop at Azalea and Wilkinson. And then a little further up, it would stop at Azalea and Brook. And then a little further up, it would stop.
Okay.
I mean, there's like, I think 150 streets on the grid. And I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm not Gino Lombardo over here. I'm not a James McCullum over there with my Chicago knowledge. I'm just, I have a car. I mean, I don't need to know this stuff anymore.
Now,
I'm
if
a car
like,
guy.
Hey, list all the blue line. I'd be like, never in my life would I be able to do that. There's too many stops.
You know, everybody from Chicago is happy, but the rest of us are confused. And they're like, why aren't they talking about Time Bandits? So we got to make them happy here, James. Time Bandits coming there. Yes.
What if you look at your analytics and you're like, why are all my listeners are in Chicago? I guess James should have kept going. He should have went to Wellington, Diversey, Fullerton, Armitage, all of them.
Sweet child of Chicago coming at you next week. Hell yeah. And you can say hell. It's okay. So yeah, the Time Bandits come, they arrive in Kevin's room. We learned it's a time portal. They push through the wall to get to their next stop. And I want to stop here because I like the fact that in the movie Time Bandits and most places, other movies that you see time portals, you know, it's pretty common to like step into a time portal, you step out over here. They went inside the time portal. They showed us what it looks like inside. It's got nice hardwood floors and Kevin's looking to his left and looking to his right. And I don't know what he's seeing because when you pause at any given time, you kind of see little doorways, but it's not really clear what you're seeing there. But I imagine lots of stops along the way that Widgit knows all about, allegedly.
He's got the map.
He's got the map, but he's definitely playing. It's obvious it's the first time he's looked at a map in his life. And he's got all these watches. So I think he believes that he's a smarter person than he actually is. I think that's Widgit's thing here, because he doesn't seem like a very good map reader to me.
I think there's a difference here. He probably knows how to read a map well. Okay, he probably knows how to read time well. But when you put both of those together, all these watches are probably like synced up to all these different portals.
Oh,
and
right,
he's like,
sure.
So he's like, oh boy, which one was marked for this portal? Oh no, the time's different in Sedgwick, the next stop on the Brown line.
Of course. How can it be? That's a huge line there if it goes through different time zones. Jesus.
And then it's all wonky on Chicago and Franklin, and don't even get me started on Merchandise Mart.
I won't get you started. I'm going to stop you, and we're going to keep talking. Where were we at there? I lost myself. So yeah, Kevin's looking up, Kevin's looking down. He's portaling it. We were talking about Widgit. That was my point. What was it, Steve? We'll get there. I forget, James. You flustered me again. I need to know about these lines in Chicago, so you don't have to keep telling me about them. But what they do is they end up on it's a Chinese ship. Kevin rightly identifies where they're at, knows where they're at. This is my first fun fact of the day, James. This ship that they're on was actually built. They built this ship and they filmed inside of it and they filmed on the deck of it. And when you see all those other ships all around, it's just basically that same ship, just duplicated multiple times. Mm-hmm. When they were done filming the show, they offered the ship up to some individuals, and Brandon, the individual Brandon Herbert, who I talked to this morning, was seriously considering buying the ship and taking it to his home in New Zealand because he has the room for it. But the ship is not seaworthy. It's not a ship you can sail. It's just a ship to film. It's a set, but it looks nice. But he decided not to get it after all because the upkeep and everything would be too much to deal with. And, you have a big ship in your yard. You got to do something with it. Otherwise, it's going to get overrun with like animals and rodents and stuff. So he did not end up buying it. And nobody bought it. They just destroyed the ship.
Dang.
Like they did in the show. Like I thought it was interesting how like we're watching the ship get blown up and then they run into the portal inside. And then everything seems pretty fine after that. Like the ship seems like to heal itself. It's the magic of TV.
So this was one of the like, this is Flight of the Conchords joke.
Okay.
It was Kevin's looking at what's going on. He's like, oh my God, all this cool stuff I know from history. He says, those are Chinese pirates and those are Chinese parrots. That's like, yeah, you would, if, Jermaine or Brit were to say like, oh yeah, those are Chinese parrots and those are Chinese parrots. Or wait, I messed up. You know what I meant to say.
You can fix it in editing if you'd like. I might let you edit this one.
I'm not going to.
Yeah, don't worry about it. But yeah, they're in 1810 Macau, and I assume everything Kevin is saying here is correct. It looks like Wikipedia kind of confirmed some of this stuff about Madame Chung. Of course, you look at her outfit, and who does that remind you of in our modern times here? Madame Chung.
Oh, I don't know.
The weird headdress with the big thing and the red dress. She's Queen Amidala. That's exactly what the Queen Amidala looks like, in my opinion. I think that was inspired by Madame Chung.
Probably. I was thinking Coppola's Dracula. Like Dracula sometimes looks like that.
He does. That's a weird look that he does with those buns. He's capable of looking like anything. And then he chooses that interesting gothy, I don't know, maybe he's into weird hardcore or something. And I don't know.
What are some weird hardcore bands? Is that that's what you're talking, weird hardcore, right? Bands, you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm glad you clarified that because that was really bad for me to stop at that point. Okay.
Because like that is just like a genre of music is hardcore, but like we need everyone to know he was talking about music.
Hardcore music. He looked really old and punk. Okay. Madame Chung here, she takes a shining to Kevin after they worm their way out of the situation. And she invites Kevin with her because she's like, this kid's like clairvoyant. He can see into the future. I want him. And that kind of puts a spark in Penelope's mind like, oh, I think we need to take this guy. He's with us. They do the thing where they jump off of the ship and no hesitation whatsoever in these guys. They just jump right in. I would be a little hesitant, but not these guys. This kind of reminded me of 1899 because this happened in 1899 as well, where they had a nice ship and then people started jumping off of it at one point. So it takes me back to another show I've recapped.
Real quick.
Yeah.
I would like to, so I don't forget, maybe every episode we say out of the time periods they went to, if we were to get stuck in one of these, which one would we most want to get stuck in?
Okay, I'll think about we'll return to that at the end of the show. I mean, at the end of our record and see what we say. I'm going to write that down real quickly. We get to see some people complained in previous incantations before they actually saw the show, or I think even after they saw the first episode, people were saying this is not like Monty Python. Like people died and stuff in the real movie and it was really dark and stuff. We saw plenty of death in this show. We see like 3 people get blown away right before our very eyes right here in this scene. So, that should make some people happy that there's some death in the show.
Yeah, and we're about to see someone like get comically yet brutally murdered.
Exactly. I mean, it's got all the bad gore that we, I don't see how anybody could be upset with this. It's the point I'm going to keep coming back to. Why wouldn't you love this? This is lovable. Even the deaths are cute.
I bet a lot of people who hate this, who are like, oh, I loved this as a kid, either don't have children now or their children do not talk to them.
The latter. It's got to be the latter, man. I mean, they read what they write online and they're like, oh, Dad, ugh. Big question in the show is, who is Susan? Will that ever get answered? Because, they keep bringing up Susan in this episode, which makes me think they went on another time bandit journey before this, but we know that this is their first stop outside of the Supreme Being's quarters. So I hope that gets answered in future episodes. And this show is linear. I've already watched ahead to episode 2 and everything is very linear. There's a huge setup in episode 2. It's a banger. So I can't wait till we talk about it. We'll be talking about with Greta, as a matter of fact. That'd be great.
This is my guess who Susan is. They eventually say how they picked to be the Time Bandits was right. She just asked people. I think it was just the other person who worked with them, and they're like, no. I think that's who. Just Susan will be someone who just said no to them.
Okay, all right. I think they did mention that Susan died.
Oh, maybe dead to them.
Man. Alto liked to twist his words around, so that could definitely be it. They jump off the ship, though. That's where we're at. They land in 1800 BC, Stonehenge. Kevin's beside himself with joy because that's where he went to Woodhenge for his birthday. Why wouldn't he love Stonehenge? And yes, this is where the guy gets to comically Monty Python-esque pass away under a big rock here. Brandon tells me that was one of his buddies, that one of the guys that he works with that got crushed under that rock.
Heck yeah. Yeah, it's just very they're trying to put up one of the big stones, and then they lose grip a little, and then it just flattens him. We don't see him again.
And then his manager makes just an offhand remark. He's like, "You've had people die?" He's like, "Yeah, that guy died." He was the last one that died. This guy who's the manager of Stonehenge, he kind of won my heart. I want to see more of him. He was really good. His delivery was hilarious. But he demystified Stonehenge for us. It lets Kevin know that, Stonehenge actually is just a pile of rocks with a gift shop. And so Kevin's a little dismayed, but Kevin's learning that history sometimes gets, put on a pedestal, and what really happens might not be what's in the history books.
Yeah, and we find out that because he went to Woodhenge, the manager's like, "Oh yeah, that was us too. We're hoping this one sticks. We've tried wood, we've tried this, we've tried that. We even tried Peoplehenge. It was just like us standing there. It was very funny."
I love that gag, and yeah, I like how this guy and Kevin's dad, and even Kevin to a small degree, are really casual about sacrifices too, which is very again, very nihilistic. It's like, yeah, people got sacrificed. It's fun. Yeah, weddings, sacrifices, bring it on.
Yeah, because the guy says we can have weddings, parties, whatever. It's just a venue for hire.
That's right. Okay, after this scene, like I said, I loved that guy, but this is my favorite scene from the show, what we're seeing next. They're camping out at Stonehenge because Widgit says their portal won't be ready until tomorrow morning. So they're hanging out camping. And the first thing I noticed was you hear somebody playing harmonica. That's Bittelig. And what I've learned from Rune is that every role that he does, he plays harmonica. That's kind of the thing he works out with directors. I want to play harmonica in a scene. So he got his wish in this first episode here, playing his harmonica. And we get to meet everybody. This is the kind of stuff I like in shows, getting to know the characters, getting to know their backstory. So this is where we're going to meet our people here. First, we got Penelope, Lisa Kudrow, of course, and she wants people to call her Firestorm for some reason. Did you ever want to make up a nickname for yourself, James? Did you ever try that as a kid?
I'm for sure I did, but I cannot remember what it would have been.
For me, I had this idea because I think I've told you before, I grew up in apartments and my mom got remarried and then we moved to the suburbs. Mm-hmm. And so I moved into this brand new area. I'm 11 years old, just like young Kevin, and meeting these new kids for the first time, different school district, everybody's brand new. So I had this idea that I would call myself Colt because I loved the show The Fall Guy, which was a popular show at the time. And that's what the lead character was called, was Colt. And I was like, yeah, I'll call myself Colt. Then I realized that everybody knows who The Fall Guy is. Everybody was watching that show, not just me. So I couldn't get away with it. It didn't stick. It didn't work. So that's the only time I tried it. And the kids laughed at me.
This is wild because I Colt would have been something that might have been hey, that would be my name, is because the Three Ninjas was so big that Colt, Rocky, and Tum Tum. Okay. It's you gotta be one of them.
I didn't even know those guys' names. And one of them is Colt, huh?
Uh-huh.
He's a badass. I like him. All right.
Yeah, you're the Colt of our group,
I'm claiming it right now. Who's the Judy of our group? We meet Judy. She is the master psychologist, but she's just learning. As I said before, she's my favorite character so far. I just like their delivery and their reactions to stuff. It's great.
And they say I'm an empath. I know what people are feeling. and they go, "You're sad," to Kevin, and he goes, "This is literally the happiest day of my life."
He says that a few times in this episode. He keeps referring how this is like the best time he's ever had. He's loving this. This is like exciting for him. It's right up his alley, except for the fact that like these time bandits don't really seem to like him too much. That's the problem. So yeah, we got Judy, we got Alto, the master of disguise, played by Tagad Murphy. He's my eyeball brother. You notice that he's got one of his eyes is messed up, just like me. It's the same one as me. So yeah, he's my eyeball brother. Need to get him on the show.
I can't even notice that your eyeball's messed up.
It's not visually messed up. It's just like, for me looking out, it's messed up. But for those looking in, it's beautiful. We got Widgit. He's your favorite. He's the map reader, played by Roger Jean Nessengiumva. Gotcha, Roger. Here we go. And then, of course, Bittelig. He has the strength of 7 men. Did that joke kind of remind you of that Gwar joke when they introduced that one character and they're like, he has a strength of 2 men? Do you remember that from Phallus in Wonderland? I don't know if they got this joke from Gwar. I kind of doubt it, but it's this of the same rift.
Hey, guys, guess what? Gwar's Phallus in Wonderland was more enjoyable than Time Bandits 1981.
That is not true, listeners. That's true to James, but not to anybody else. That's a very bad. I love Gwar. That's a very bad movie. It made me very uncomfortable watching it.
You should be expecting a Gwar-related gift soon, Steven.
I specifically told you I don't own any Gwar comics.
Yeah, so that would imply that I was at work and found Gwar comics, so you should be expecting a gift soon.
What? Is this like the gift portion of the show? You got me a gift?
I mean, we were talking Gwar, so of course I'm gonna we found they're like, it's a collection, it's a trade, so I think it's like 4 issues in one.
I know, I've read them before. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'll send those your way soon.
Woo, baby! Thank you, man. That's great. Okay,
you sent me all these like panels, like acoustic panelings of course I'm gonna send you some stuff back.
All right. Yeah, I thought it was weird. Okay, listeners, James sent me a thing like, do you have any Gwar comics? And I was like, no, I'm afraid I don't. And then he sent me back a message that said, cool. And I was like, why is that cool? I just assumed that you just, weren't halfway thinking when you wrote that message. You're like, okay, cool, whatever.
No, I'm saying cool. I put it in my holds.
Thank you that's wonderful, James. Thank you so much. Like this whole past week, my birthday thing, this has been one. Hey, my Google thing started talking to me when I said that, James, but I do really appreciate it. I am going to move on though. I got to do that. We're talking about Bittelig, strength of 7 men. Penelope says that he's like, she makes a mention that he's like psycho or he's a maniac or something. I don't see any sign of that, because he seems to be the one that's like concerned about Kevin and keeps saying we need to get this kid home. And you see, I've watched the show 3 times. When they're going down through the time portal, like Bittelig like grabs Kevin and like holds on to him and stuff. Mm-hmm. So he's not a psycho, dude. He seems like a really nice guy.
I think that is the classic trope of like you're either the leader of the group or someone kind of saying like, don't mess with us because we got this big guy. He's a psycho. And it's like, no, I'm actually like a very nice man. And they're like, oh, don't listen to a word he says. He's trying to get into your head. I'm literally playing no mind tricks. I'm not capable of doing that because I just care for people. Yeah, he cares about squishing them like bugs.
I think we're going to see some of that. I think you're right about all that. Sweet Child of Time is brought to you by Zencastr. Zencastr helps us make Sweet Child of Time. When I schedule an episode, I send the link out to my co-hosts and whoever the guest may be. We all get in a room together, an online room, of course. We all record locally on our microphones, and when we're done, we all have individual files we can download for easy editing. You can either record video or audio. If you'd like to choose Zencastr, go to zencastr.com/pricing. Use the promo code Sweet Child of Time for 30% off any paid Zencastr plan. If you want to have the same easy experience I've had with podcasting, choose Zencastr. It's time to share your story. My last fun Rune Tempte fact here is he told me when he came, when he got his Screen Actors Guild card, his manager was trying to talk him into changing his name to something a little more catchy. He almost changed his name to Tempest Ruin, and he would be the actor known as Tempest Ruin. I told him that's a great rap name. Like if he wants to be a rapper, it's pretty badass in my opinion. We could say badass.
A Tempest Ruin sounds like either the Great American Novel or like a fantastic prog rock band.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great turn of phrase. I'm surprised he turned it down because he wanted to use his real name, which is fine. But I mean, I don't know. I think I would kind of go with that one. I like that Tempest Ruin thing. I told him so too. Anyway, next up, Kevin gets a dog bowl. I love that gag. Meanwhile, we're in the evil lair. You got something, James?
Yeah, I have one thing. Widgit says, like, I don't trust you at all. I don't trust you, Kevin, if that's your real name. And he goes, it's stitching to my pajamas.
Checks out. Story checks out. Yeah, so we go to the evil lair now. This is where we meet Jermaine Clement as the darkest darkness, as Damon keeps calling him. Damon is a spy, apparently, and he's played by Jonathan Brugg. And he has this cape bearer behind him that carries his cape for. At first, I thought this guy with the nose was like giving him like a pedicure or something, but he just carries his cape for him so it doesn't drag on the ground. He's played by a guy named Ross Noble. But we find out that the plans, aka the map, have been stolen by a rogue faction of the floral department. So because the map has been stolen, it's not in the hands of the Supreme Being. So evil can now more easily steal the plans from the bandits than he could from the Supreme Being. So he's getting a plan in motion here. Evil stuff, James. Were you scared?
I am scared, but this is also a section where we get another this is Flight of Conchord-Z, where he screams, evil says, Damon! And then this demon goes, huh? And he says, no, I said Damon, not you, demon.
They returned to that joke quite a few times in episode 2 as well. Oh, no spoilers for episode 2. Not going to say anything else about that. He can't say the Supreme Being without throwing up in his mouth. I really like that gag. I hope they keep up with that one. But yeah, the whole point is they need to return to Bingley 2024 because somehow they know that's where the Time Bandits are going to be. So they want to commandeer that map back from them. The bandits, meanwhile, they went through that portal we talked about earlier that Widgit found for them. They're now in ancient Troy to steal the Trojan horse. They're at 1200 BC. See, we can't run out of time here, James. We got some important stuff to talk about here. Kevin says a couple times it's the best day of his life. This Trojan horse was actually built, and they actually filmed inside of it. Rune confirmed all of that because I was questioning that. I'm like, wait, y'all actually filmed inside of the horse? You mean like y'all filmed the outside scenes around it, but then went somewhere else for the inside? No, the horse. We filmed in the horse.
Oh, they must have been all sweaty, and I hope when they left, I hope someone said, and I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
Star Wars.
I'm quoting College University, which was quoting
You're quoting
that.
Star Wars. Okay, I got you.
Yes.
You're not quoting Star. You would never quote Star Wars. It's beyond you.
For the longest time, Nicole thought there was a lot of Star Wars quotes that Nicole only knew from College University because I watch it every Christmas.
Okay.
So then when she hears the actual quotes from Star Wars, she's like, oh, okay, yeah, I get this now.
All right. Yeah, Kevin, the Trojan horse. Yes, they're here at the Trojan horse. I love this scene where they're proud of their craftsmanship.
I had the same exact note because
hilarious.
They were excited that the people of Troy were also so excited. They're like, oh my God, and look at the eyes. And they're like, they're commenting on the eyes.
They started dancing. They were so excited they were dancing. I thought that was going to give them away, but it didn't, apparently. I don't know how. I think this is around where Heather gave up. This is around where she walked out. So I watched the rest of it by myself.
She had 7 minutes left.
I don't know. So they let the horse in, and they attribute all this to Kevin again because they're like, hey, Kevin's clairvoyant. He knows what's up. This is when we learned about the selective process of getting to the bandits, which you've already explained to us. And I was going to say it's the same process for getting into our band here in Richmond, Electric Fist. If you can make it through the door at our practice space, then you're in the band. That's pretty much all it takes. Walk in the door with an instrument in your hand and you're in the band.
Okay, can I come with like Fruity Loops and I can say like I can snacks? Make the what?
Fruity Loops as in snacks?
No, Fruity Loops, FL Studios, the DAW. It's a beat making program.
Bring it on, buddy.
And I'll be like, hey, I'll make all the drum beats.
What would Sam do though? Because Sam's a fantastic drummer. He's very well practiced. What would he do?
I'll do all the percussion loops to back that up.
That actually would not be a bad idea. But we need to get to the Time Bandits, James. The Time Bandits. They meet Cassandra, and I'm thinking that she might be this. We were talking about the recurring characters, and I kind of got the sense that Cassandra could be a recurring character. In history, there's no way it will happen because, okay, got a little lesson for you here. Back in the movie Time Bandits, which you were ambivalent about, you do remember that Kevin became like a quasi son to the King Agamemnon.
Yes.
So that's an actual dude from Troy, and his daughter is Cassandra, Princess Cassandra. So in real life, that was her daughter. So that's kind of like our tie-in to the movie a little bit here. Also, supposedly in real life, I think in legend, because it involves the god Apollo. The god Apollo is the one who cursed Cassandra with the clairvoyance, but nobody would believe her. So that's actually like stuff that's written about in the Odyssey and Homer. Mm-hmm. So this is all, based on myth, factual myths. I don't know. But Cassandra's predictions, and I have a prediction that everything she predicts, we will see in the show later, James. Mm-hmm. She predicts they're going to tell stories to kings, jump from high cliffs, but one's going to break their skeleton. They're going to see great structures before they were great, which they already have. See extinct creatures long gone. I'm thinking that's the pterodactyl in the room. See unimaginable places. See sadness. So Kevin's going to get sad at some point, but he will have to stick with the stupid bandits because Kevin is going to save the universe.
No, the sadness he's going to see is when he goes back home.
Probably so. That's okay. I can't say any spoilers, but that kind of rings true in a way, James. So, yeah, they go and pillage the city. They all come back with beautiful vases. It's the best thing to steal, apparently, is a beautiful vase. And I love, like, Bittelig's pride that, these are great vases. Wonderful.
I also loved when they said, oh, what'd you get, Kevin? And he goes, nothing. It's wrong to steal.
And a hush fell over the bandits. They do not like Kevin. Especially Widgit. They do not like his vibe at all. But they are off to take Kevin home because the reason they came into Troy and got into that horse, anybody who's watched the show knows this, but I've forgotten the recap. They needed to get into Troy themselves to get to the next time portal. So they did that, and allegedly they're now off to go take Kevin home to 2024. So now we're here at our last scene back in the evil lair, and we meet Fiona, and she is going to be like the henchman that's going to go after the bandits to follow them. I thought it was awesome that Fiona is played by Rachel House. Are you familiar with this Indigenous actress? Okay. She's in like everything that Taika does, she's in. She's also in a character in the Marvel Universe. Pretty much any show that features an Indigenous actresses or actors, she's going to be part of that too. I mean, she's a acting coach and just a huge presence, personality hidden behind this mask, which is why I wanted to kind of give her a shout out because she deserves it. And we're not going to see her face probably in this show. We're just going to see her, with her scary eyes. But yeah, she's a great actress in her own right. She's going to follow them and hopefully steal the map back for evil. And as I said before, it seems clear that Saffron is somehow going to tag along. I like your theory. I hope it comes true that way because that kind of makes sense if she's like randomly showing up in different places because maybe she finds out Kevin's room is a portal. And so she kind of follows them and shows up perhaps. I'm just totally guessing because I honestly don't know.
Or it would also be cool, as you posited originally, she just is one of the Time Bandits.
Yeah, because we know they're going back to, they say they're going back to Kevin's house and that's where she lives too. So that kind of makes sense that like maybe she finds out and wants to come too because she's like, Mom and Dad suck.
Or what Actually, now that you bring the huntress is probably going to go back there, not find anything, and then maybe see a photo. Oh, this person knows this person. I'm going to kidnap her, and then eventually they will meet up, and then she becomes part of the Time Bandits.
We got our predictions in. All right, so yeah, we're gonna see what happens because we don't know. Okay, we're at the end of the episode now, so let's figure out where we would want to go in time. We went to Madame Chung, 1812. We went to Troy, 1200 BC, Stonehenge, 1800 BC. What's your choice, James? Where are you going?
I was originally going to say Stonehenge. You want to know what? Yeah, I'm going to go Stonehenge, especially if can Nicole come?
I mean, it's a portal, so you can hold her hand and bring her, yeah.
All right, we're going to Stonehenge because that's closer to the mother country, Ireland, so...
Yeah, do you want to take Nicole just like because you love her, or is there a specific reason, or...
I like hanging out with her.
Okay, like hanging out with her, and you probably also love her too. Okay.
Yeah.
See, I was going to go by myself. I was going to leave Charlotte and Heather and Caleb here, but now I feel like a jerk, like leaving them because you're taking a loved one.
If I'm I get trapped there because that hey, I'd be fine with getting trapped in one of these places. Yeah, I would want her.
Okay.
But if I'm trapped there, eventually I'm like, well, I'll need to find a new partner. I would be afraid because it's so close to the mother country. What if I accidentally hook up with a very distant relative? Then I would want to do Troy.
You would mess yourself up in the future perhaps by doing that. That's So where did you decide? You decided with Nicole, thank goodness. And Stonehenge?
Yes.
I'm right there with you. I mean, because my reasoning being going to 1812 Britain, I'm probably going to get killed. Absolutely. And going to Troy, that's also a society that's at war. And they would probably look at an outsider very suspiciously. Same thing there in 1812. But if you go all the way back to Stonehenge, it's a little easier, I think, to kind of blend in and not be too, politically intrusive or whatever.
Wait, where does 1812 come in?
That's when Madame Chung was doing her British Navy ship thing.
Oh, I thought they were in the more Pacific.
Macau. That's all I know. And I'm not a history buff like Kevin, so I don't know exactly. Is Macau on Earth? I don't know. It could be on Jupiter. I'm not exactly sure. James is going to look it up to see if Macau is actually on Earth. But yeah, while James is looking that up, we're going to wrap up the show. We are very excited about Time Bandits. We'll be coming at you. The next episode we're going to be dropping will be my interview with Brandon Herbert. I talked to him this morning. We had a great conversation on video, so there'll be another YouTube video, and he shared some excellent photos with me that I can't wait to share with everybody, and some videos as well. He shared some stunt videos that he took on set with me, and I'm going to include those in the video too.
Heck yeah.
And then we'll be talking next with James. In a few weeks, he and I will be talking with Greta Vanderbrink. She was the stunt double of Penelope, of Lisa Kudrow. She's going to join us to recap episode 2. She actually wanted to come on, do the scene-by-scene recap. She wanted to have some fun with me and James. And then after that, Sarah Darkin's going to be joining us for episode 3 for the exact same reason. Sarah Darkin, I believe I take that back. She changed her mind. She's still coming on the show, but she wants to come on to a show that she is featured more predominantly in, so we can talk about her scenes. So that'll be very exciting in the future. Don't know what episode that's going to be yet. It was going to be 3, but we're switching things up. Time for plugs now. I already told you about sweetshotofTime.com. That's my website where you can find every podcast I've been on. You can find all the videos I'm talking about. But I have music. It's under the band name Introvoid. It's everywhere music is, Spotify and all that stuff. And I do music with James here. He's Marshland Monster, and he provides me with, he doesn't provide me with raps. He shares the raps that he writes with me so that I may remix them in my own way. And so I have about 10 of those that I've released at this point. And I'm also working with my other podcast co-host, Lindsay Dunn. We're working on original music together, writing it together, sharing it back and forth. And we released 3 songs, and our 4th one will be out anytime. But the most current one is called Thus the World Was Created. It's a song based on the TV show Dark. And it has a lot to do with despair. And I'm very proud of that song that we did together. That's where you can find me. It's your turn, James. How about you, buddy?
Hey, guys, if you're into things like Time Bandits, the things that you most like or you will most like from me is probably like Death to Squids under the Marshland Media podcast feed, wherever podcasts are found. Death to Squids, it's my friend Jose and I. We started out as a Trancers podcast. It's this like full moon features, B-budget sci-fi action movie series. And then we just branched out to other sci-fi action movies. We did all of Cyborg. We did all of Starship Troopers. And now we're going through Resident Evil because, guys, that's science fiction and horror and action. We're very excited, but the hook of it is we get just like absolutely stoned before watching the movie. Well, actually, during watching the movie. Then somehow it is the most concise, focused podcast that I do reviewing media. It's like I'm surprised we're like, man, we only recorded 70 minutes. That's crazy for a full movie. So that's really good. And over on patreon.com/MLM pod, where for $5 a month, you get exclusive content. You can listen to Engaged with Nicolas Cage over there, which is Nicole and I, my spouse, my love that I'm going to Stonehenge with. We have been going through every single Nicolas Cage movie in order chronologically that he is a starring prominent role on -1 because A Christmas Carol, we should not have done that animated movie. It just, one, it was bad, and two, he was barely in it. But we're, I think, into like the 2010s now. We've done 50 movies of his. So minimum, there's 50 hours. Actually, we go like 2 hours long on most of those. So there's a bunch of stuff over there. And that's just once a month we do Engage with Nicolas Cage. We have other weekly shows over there. So you're bound to find something. Again, that's patreon.com/MLM pod, MLM pod, like Marshland Media podcast.
Not like the other MLM. We don't want to talk about that one. I'm, again, like I always do, I'm going to vouch for Engage with Nicolas Cage. It's like my favorite podcast that you guys do. And it's one of the paid ones. Maybe that's a plan of yours. Maybe you're like, we're going to save the really good stuff for the paying customers. So that's why I had to become a Patreon. I love that show. And I'm going to give another further plug because like he says, they've done about 50 episodes. I've listened to every single one of them. And just recently, they've done like a recap of their entire list where they rank all of his movies so far. So that's a very great episode to even start with, the most recent one, and then go back to the beginning and check them all out. But yeah, that's our plugs. That's Time Bandits number one. I couldn't be more happy to recap this, and I'm so excited for doing it more. And James, any last words from you before we sign off?
Oh, may you always find water and shade.
That's my line. God dang it. Okay, may you always find water and shade and shoes. Bye, everybody.
Bye.